started EDL start anchor. We have gone ahead and turned on the backup repo. We've also turned off the LCAM heater, which was preheating the LCAM to the appropriate temperature for the beginning of EDL, so we can so it can coast down thermally and be at the right temperature when we use it later on, just before backshell step. We also have our RCS cat beds still on and heating up those thruster cat beds as we prepare to fire them for the first time during guided entry. We should have no change in our avionics state except for our urea net that we saw at the beginning. And our flight software execution state should remain the same. But the backup computer running Second Chance will have armed itself and it is prepared to take over as we go through EDL if we should experience any type of reset from the prime computer.
One back on that.
Copy that. OL2 going off net for 2.
Copy.
As we speak, we are transitioning CBM states, and I think activity is going to give us a little more information on that in their update.
Yeah, copy phase. The CBM change, as I mentioned previously, is to the EDL reserve two-way non-coherent route.
Activity.
Copy flight.
EDL phase, go ahead.
Like pep talk, I guess, to the team. All right. I'm terrible at pep talks. I think my reputation precedes me there. And look, I know this hasn't been easy, right? I'm not even sure we've even been all in the same room at the same time. I mean, I'm staring at folks across the internet as well. Even now, right? Yeah. Voice check. Okay. I do want to just extend my heartfelt appreciation from the EDL team to the launch cruise team. You've done everything we've asked for, right? I mean, you've battled anomalies, you've dealt with SETIs, you've done everything. You delivered a healthy spacecraft to the place that we want to go, and she's right on target, right? You did the last maneuver literally 2 months ago, right? This is pretty incredible, in my opinion. And she's armed with the right information to help us land. Doing the parameter update last night, we're ready to roll. You've done everything right. And you've put up with us, too, right? You've put up with our eccentricities and the things we like to do in EDL land. So I very much appreciate that. So you all should sleep in on Friday since, you guys have earned it. Thanks for literally and figuratively putting us in the right position to succeed. And let's land on Mars together.
Copy EDL phase. And as flight director, I also would like to thank the whole team, cruise ops, EDL ops, EDL team, and the surface ops as well. It's been an amazing journey. I think we all know that. And it's been my honor and pleasure to work with you all side by side. And your tireless efforts and endurance in the face of our challenges has been truly, truly inspiring. So kudos to you. Mission, would you like to say something?
Yeah, just echoing the same words that Al and Magdi have mentioned. You guys have overcome great obstacles in the last 6.5 months, and it started with an earthquake in this room on launch day at L-20 minutes. So I can't be more proud than all of the achievements that you guys have pulled off in the last 6.5 months. Whatever happens in the next hour and a half, you can be proud of the achievements that you've accomplished so far. I look forward to seeing you on the other side, and I only wish that the rest of our team could be sharing this moment with us. This is a very unusual event. This room is only half as full as it would be if we weren't in this pandemic. So missing everybody on the team who's not with us here today. And go EDL.
Welcome to the EDL family.
OL1, OL2, back on that.
And with that, Godspeed, Perseverance. All right, activity. Go ahead and continue the report.
Sure thing, flight. We've since completed the EDL start anchor. As I was mentioning, we changed our CBM row to EDL reserve two-way non-coherent. That row reinforces our CBM windows disabled keeps our packetization on. It turns off our ranging and switches to the auxiliary oscillator. We have also started our real-time data products and reinforced medley on. At this time, our next anchor will be at 12:30 local time.
Copy activity.
OL1, this is TAD1.
Go TAD1.
I have an OD136 comparison with EPU3. The position delta is now 147.3 meters, up very slightly from the 147.7 meters we had previously.
Copy. This may be our last look before we stop stealing the screen. Do you want to go ahead and show it? With the viewplane, if you have it. Thanks.
Okay, all stations, as with our tradition, we usually would have some peanuts at this moment. We all had our peanuts at lunch, but to keep our tradition, I will take one peanut for all of us to keep our tradition.
Oh, well, this is TAD3.
Go.
Mist distance for OD133 is 810 meters.
Copy. Do you have a pair of runouts on the plot you'd like to share?
Yes, I do.
Please do. Thank you, TAD3.
Flight Telecom.
Go ahead, Telecom.
Telecom, I just want to let you know that radio science reports that despite the inclement weather in West Virginia, the Green Bank telescope was able to point at Mars. There was a threat that they were not going to be able to do it because of the rain and snow, and the ice, but they are doing it.
Copy, Telecom. Great news. System flight.
Go flight.
Were you able to find the visualization so we can display it?
Affirmative. I will try again. My computer was having trouble with the visualization and WebEx, but I will restart WebEx and try again.
Copy.
All stations on M20 EDL ops. Probably the last time if you feel the need to do a battery change to do that before we go into quiet mode. Also, unless we have something updated we want to show in the next couple of minutes, we're about to turn over our WebEx screen to Telecom for tones. At that point, I'm happy to get updates in chat in our WebEx on EDL ops, but I'd prefer to not have any more call-outs over the net unless you see something you do not expect.
Oh, well, this is TAP 3. I have the runout solution for OD135, distance to target, 392 meters.
Copy. Feel free to share if you'd like. To OL1 voice check.
Verified by OL1.
Copy. Looks good. Thank you. TAP 3. All stations at this time on M20 EDL ops. At this time, we will go quiet on the net until we start our callouts during EDL telemetry. Here we go.
Phase 2 flight.
Go flight.
At this time, let's continue our briefing for the rest of EDL.
Sure. So after coming out of EDL start, that's our last real reinforcement of the state that the vehicle was in throughout much of cruise and EDL approach. And it's our precursor to making many more radical changes to the state of the vehicle. Matt Wallace said it well the other day. EDL is kind of like a controlled disassembly of the vehicle. As we go through, we need to get rid of the things we don't need anymore and get ready to put our wheels on the ground. So one of the final things that we're doing here is ensuring that our ACS knowledge is top-notch. We depend on ACS to pass an estimate of the vehicle's attitude and rate of change to EDL, and that's our starting point for propagating down to the ground. When we come up in the EDL prep anchor is when we'll take the last state from ACS, and we'll be propagating from that point to the ground until we get more knowledge from the radar once we turn it on. I can give a high-level overview of some of the events that are going to transpire throughout EDL. Of course, commentary will be detailing this as we go through, and you'll hear a lot of members of the EDL team calling out specific events as they occur and indicators as we see them. But to give everyone an idea of what we're going to see, we will first start shortly here. We'll get news that the vehicle has separated the cruise stage since we no longer need that. We need to prepare for entry into the atmosphere. After that, we will indeed start the entry process. At this point, we're depending on the heat shield to both protect the spacecraft and help slow us down. We'll be gathering data from our Medley sensors, and we'll be decelerating rapidly at that point. As we make our way through the atmosphere, we'll be firing our DRCS thrusters that poke out the back of the back shell, and this will allow us to steer our trajectory as we make our way through the atmosphere. And this is one of the things that allowed MSL, the Curiosity rover, to land where it did. And we're depending on the same type of entry guidance this time around to help get us very close to our target. As we make our way through entry, finish our guided entry profile, we'll do a maneuver called heading alignment, where we point toward the target and get ready to deploy the parachute. But before we deploy the parachute, we need to get rid of a set of balance masses that have been Phase 2 taking a battery change. Phase 2 back on that.
The HRS vent anchor has begun. Here we are reinforcing the BCB discharge and charge states.
"90 seconds from entry interface and standing by for Mars Reconnaissance Orbiter to pick up the telemetry." We are 1 minute from entry interface.
MROs are in receive mode.
We have confirmation that the Mars Reconnaissance Orbiter is now relaying data from Perseverance. We're about 30 seconds from entry interface. Perseverance is going about 5.2 kilometers per second and is about 190 kilometers altitude above the surface of Mars.
Confirm UHF data flow.
About seconds from
MTLSW on.
5.3 kilometers per second and an altitude of about 150 kilometers from the surface of Mars.
Entry.
We have confirmation of entry interface. Perseverance is currently going 5.3 kilometers per second at an altitude of about 120 kilometers from the surface of Mars. The spacecraft is now waiting until it begins feeling the atmosphere of Mars to slow it down. Once there is enough atmosphere, it will start controlling its path to the landing target.
Doppler indicates entry into the atmosphere.
Navigation is also confirming that we can see a little bit of that slowdown of the atmosphere on the Perseverance entry capsule. Our current velocity is about 5.36 kilometers per second and an altitude of about 67 kilometers from the surface.
We are probably seeing MRO plasma blackout at this point.
Bank 1 completed.
MRO has lost log.
Doppler indicate reversal, bank reversal.
We have indications that Perseverance is now performing bank reversals in the atmosphere. These are the steps in order to control its
max diesel 10
to the landing target. Perseverance has just passed through the point of maximum deceleration and has indicated that it felt approximately 10 Earth Gs of deceleration.
MRO has lock again.
Doppler indicated reversal.
Bank 2 complete.
We saw a small outage of the UHF telemetry from Mars Reconnaissance Orbiter during that peak heating phase, likely caused by the plasma blackout. Perseverance is still continuing to perform bank reversals in the atmosphere to control its distance to the landing target.
Doppler indicate reversal.
End of range control, range minus 1.9 kilometers, cross range minus 2.4 kilometers.
Perseverance is going about 1 kilometers per second at an altitude of about 16 kilometers from the surface of Mars. We have entered heading alignment, which means Perseverance is no longer trying to control the distance to Mars, but to the target on Mars, but instead is flying straight to the target. Our current velocity is about 550 meters per second at an altitude of about 15 kilometers from the surface.
MRO is reporting good telemetry log.
We are coming upon the
Chopper start.
we are starting the straighten up and fly right maneuver,
UVMD jettison,
where the spacecraft will jettison the entry balance masses in preparation for parachute deploy and to roll over to give the radar a better look at the ground.
Indicate chute deploy.
The navigation has confirmed that the parachute has deployed, and we are seeing significant deceleration in the velocity. Our current velocity is 440 meters per second at an altitude of about 12 kilometers from the surface of Mars.
heat shield set.
Perseverance is now slowed to subsonic speeds, and the heat shield has been separated. This allows both the radar and the cameras to get their first look at the surface. Current velocity is 145 meters per second at an altitude of about 9.5 kilometers above the surface.
Nav filter converge. Velocity solution 3.3 meters per second. Altitude 7.4 kilometers.
Now has radar lock on the ground. Current velocity is about 100 meters per second, 6.6 kilometers above the surface of Mars. Perseverance is continuing to descend on the parachute. We are coming up on the initialization of terrain relative navigation and subsequently the priming of the landing engines. Our current velocity is about 90 meters per second at an altitude of 4.2 kilometers.
LVS valid.
We have confirmation that the lander vision system has produced a valid solution and part of terrain relative navigation.
Priming. TBA is nominal.
We have priming of the landing engines.
Back shell set.
Is 83 meters per second at about 2.6 kilometers from the surface of Mars. We have confirmation that the back shell has separated. We are currently performing the divert maneuver. Current velocity is about 75 meters per second at an altitude of about a kilometer off the surface of Mars.
TRN Safety Bravo.
We have completed our terrain relative navigation. Current speed is about 30 meters per second, altitude of about 300 meters off the surface of Mars.
SDS level.
Constant velocity
104.
accordion. Constant velocity accordion, altitude error.
We have started our constant velocity accordion, which means we are conducting the sky crane, about to conduct the sky crane maneuver.
We've lost direct-to-earth tones.
Throttle down.
Sky crane maneuver has started. About 20 meters.
Tango Delta. Nominal.
We're getting signals from MRO.
Renew stable.
UHF is good.
Touchdown.
MRO reports they're still getting telemetry from the lander.
All right, all stations. Touchdown confirmed. We're going to wait for the images.
OL3, OL1, you have what you need?
Flight 3, I have what I need. Flight, we have seen the completion of EDL 3000.
Copy.
Copy activity. That is as expected.
MRO is still seeing a strong signal from the lander.
Flight, this is OL3. I am ready to share.
OL3, you are go. For those on M.
All stations stand by for the images. Yes! Woo! Flight, this is OL3. I have the target point on the map when you are ready. We are ready, OL3. Go for it.
Oh, my goodness. Oh. Yikes. Oh, my goodness.
Flight, I'll be moving in, showing you the safe zone that we've landed in. OL flight.
TRN. TRN.
Can we get the cliff image, OL?
Activity, this is OL. Can you repeat that request on M20 EDL off?
OL, can we get the other image? Should show the cliff.
I'm sorry. Say what image again? I'm not understanding.
Flight OL3. OL3. You can see we've landed about 35 meters from the nearest rocks that we could identify from orbit by their shadows. Copy OL3, TRN in action.
Yep. Take that, Desero. Woo!
I remember this spot. It looks good. Copy OL3. I'm sure that you have seen them all and you recognize them all. So.
Flight reports Electra still in walk with the lander.
Flight, we have seen the transition to surface. EDL is done.
Woo! Woo-hoo! Transition to surface. All stations are...
MRO.
Congratulations, Perseverance team, and the whole team that's not here as well. Excellent job.
All stations on M20 EDL ops, we have transitioned to surface as reported downstairs. If you are part of that story to the surface team, make sure you're starting to work those inputs, please.
1, this is AL2, voice check.
I read you 5 by.
I just want to announce to everybody I've taken a first pass at the surface transition report. I've got some numbers from the script, and I'm awaiting inputs from a couple people still and confirmation from others. It's ready for review.
Copy. The end of that was it's ready for review. Are you asking people to take a look at your cache report?
That's right. It's ready for review. I'm looking for confirmation from a handful of folks on some of the values before making it final.
Copy. Do you want that confirmation over this net?
The process is to work it over email. I've sent out an email that they can reply to.
Thank you.
Who did you know? Yeah. Really?
TAP and TAD1, OL1, can we go ahead and get handoff ready to go for our final Monte Carlo for today?
This is TAD1. We're already working on it.
Copy. Can you tell me what OD that's on?
The latest one I have is 137. I'll go jump into the nav room and confirm that's the last one.
Copy.
Oh, well, this is TAP 1. We're ready to run that Monte Carlo when the handoff is ready.
Copy. Thanks, TAP 1.
TAD 1, this is TAD 2.
Go TAD 2. Oh, sorry.
TAD 1, this is TAD 2.
Go Ace. Just wanted to get permission to release the tracking stations and the NOPEs and everybody.
TAD 2, TAD 1 is currently talking to nav. Stand by. Frickin' Medley, too.
OL1, this is TAD1.
Go TAD1.
I confirmed that OD 137 is the final DOD with all of the two-way data up until Twankon.
Copy. Thank you.
TAD 1, TAD 2.
Sorry, TAD 2, were you calling TAD 1?
Indeed. I was wondering if you wanted to cancel that last Monte Carlo before we start this one, or if I should get HBC on it so you can focus on the handoff.
How far along is it?
$5,700 cases.
Yeah, I'll go ahead and kill it.
Thank you, Taiwan.
What was that for? Hey, Lynn.
Okay, all stations. Everyone. Everyone. All right, all stations. Congratulations, but believe it or not, we have a job to do now.
OL1, TAD1.
Go TAD1.
Are we ready to look at the
Surface flight, this is flight.
Yes, please.
Should I go ahead and just share it in the WebEx that we're working now?
Yes, please.
Go ahead, flight.
Just want
TAD1,
to
do we have
confirm
your
that
eyes?
your team is ready to receive Perseverance.
I am paying attention.
Copy.
We are ready to receive Perseverance.
Okay,
are you ready for
the new one is on the left?
Not yet.
The 121 is on the right.
We'll let the team here have... not yet. We'll
sorry, this
let
is
the
be hard
team here have a few minutes with the telemetry, and then we'll do our briefing. Remember to put the details in capture for your counterpart on the surface team.
OD-137 spread.
And then we will do an over-VOCA report.
And I don't think anything else actually changes
in this. Surface 50, are you staying on Mars 20 ops or
other
switching
than,
to Mars 20 surface
hang on,
ops?
before I scroll too far down, I want to confirm.
We are going to remain on
we
M20
have
off
the OD-112 EPU3.
Copy.
The only other relevant change here is going to be the OD-137 spread ESF. And we don't have any other relay orbiter changes, correct?
None that I care for us to incorporate. I don't think so. TAD1, your screen resolution, I can't actually read stuff very well, but you're saying it out loud, so I'm just trusting that what you're saying is what's there, just so you know.
Copy.
But I think what you described makes sense to me.
And we have no orbiter file deliveries from Monte Carlo this morning.
Thanks for confirming, TAP1.
Flight activity FNAV for 2.
Copy.
And there's no other
Flight
version
nav.
changes.
Go nav.
No other notes. So
nav is going to go off net.
That's it.
Great success
Should
on
we
the
add a note that just says
mission,
final?
That's great. Thank you.
Final OD from
Nav, you don't want to continue?
Yeah, that's a good
Nothing
idea.
for you to do?
Thank you. Tap,
On
are
to
you
the
good
next
with
mission.
this handoff?
Nav, we want to
good.
extend tremendous
Thank you very much.
gratitude for your efforts to you and your team and for giving us a great trajectory here.
You're welcome.
EDL OL1 or 3, this is EDL phase on EDL ops.
Phase, this is OL1.
Can I get a copy of those pictures sent to me, where the map is, or where we came down, where we targeted, both in hazard map and not hazard map mode?
OL3 gave me a thumbs up. You should have those shortly.
Flight, uplink off net for 2.
Copy, uplink. Okay, all stations, let's begin our surface handover so we can continue our celebration. Systems, are you ready? Systems flight.
TAP 1, this is TAD 1.
Can't hear you, system.
Flight system, voice check.
Got you, 5x5.
Copy. Should I give a report this time?
TAP 1, this is TAD 1.
All right. We see in EHA that the spacecraft mode is surface nominal. We also saw that transition in EVR space. And the surface nominal transition table ran as expected. CBM is in normal mode, which is to be expected. It is no longer in disable windows mode. We see that
SMC ready for delivery.
0001 sequence has started. And I do not have recent EHA updates for the rest of the system, but I'm continuing to document what I'm seeing in EVR space for surface systems.
Copy, Sys. FP.
And waiting on telemetry updates for some of the channels, but based on the EVRs, it looks like the transition nominal was as expected, and I don't see any indications, at least from what we have so far, that any FP has tripped.
So the warnings that we do have there for UV are expected?
Copy, flight. AL can confirm, but if you're referring to the ones where the UV trip mask bit on the RPMs change, those are expected when we unmask under voltage when we transition to surface mode.
Copy. And so the indication of the tone that we got during descent is likely have cleared, or it's likely on the DPAM.
Correct, flight. I don't see any indications from the EVRs that indicates that we retripped some RPAM-related monitors. And we'll have to look at the recorded EVRs when we get them down to see what exactly happened. But it looks like, at least what we have so far, that whatever it was has since cleared.
Copy, FP. Go to power.
Flight power. I was still trying to get through some of my telemetry checks, but what I've got so far is that the bus voltage at the end of the surface transition was about 32.32 volts, which means a battery state of charge of about 95%. That's a very rough estimate. I haven't had time to do a more detailed calculation. But the charge and discharge FETs have been enforced back to auto mode. Our pyro safety status is reading 268 ohms, which is armed and disabled. Pyro CRCs are still enabled from the end of EDL, and the RPFA is powered off.
Copy. Avionics? Avionics flight, voice check. All right, let's move on to telecom. We'll get back to you, avionics.
Yeah, flight telecom by design had got very, very little telemetry during EDL itself and on the surface once we landed. However, judging by the performance, we can say that telecom is healthy. Certainly the descent stage radio and amplifier did its job spectacularly. The electrolyte A worked spectacularly. We did do the final switch to the rough antenna on the Rover. Otherwise, we wouldn't have been able to talk to MRO after landing. So we know where the switch has connected Electra A to the rough, ready for the first relay pass, which will be Odyssey in a couple of hours. Other than that, telecom is healthy and ready to go for surface operations.
Copy. Thermal?
Thermal is nominal and as expected. We have limited data, which again is expected. We saw a 50-degree increase on the RTG after the HRS vent, which is in line with both what we expected and what we saw on MSL. That filtered in. We've seen some small increases on ramp and associated HRS electronics as expected. Everything everything is nominal right now.
Copy. Flight software.
This is flight software. Flight software performed and is performing excellently. Health monitoring has been restored on the transitioner surface. We show Earth in control. Everything looks green.
Copy. ACS. How's your subsystem doing on the surface?
It's doing great. ACS gave a great pep talk to the nav filter, giving it a good attitude for EDL. Telemetry looked great just before it was idled, and presumably ACS is now sitting in a new crater on Mars.
Copy. And prop, how much fuel did you leave?
The cruise stage burnt up with 55.91 kilograms of propellant, and the descent stage consumed 305 kilograms out of the 401 load. So we flew away with about 96 kilograms of propellant. But otherwise, propulsion performed nominally. We did see successful boot of the DMCA into MCSW mode as expected. We then did see successful activation of the 8 TVAs, and they were nominal. Closed-loop flyaway was then commanded nominally, and the warning EVRs after closed-loop flyaway are expected.
Copy. DMX?
Flight data management is nominal. We've had limited telemetry and EVRs, but based upon the data we have, DMX is in nominal expected state. We did see several partial data products, but those are expected as part of EDL. All of the data has been captured in Cacher for the surface operations team, so we're ready to hand over to the service team.
Copy. GNC.
Right, this is GNC, though almost all of CEDL, GNC is on different places on Mars. One of the most important pieces is still on the Rover. The VCE is healthy. All of EDL performed its job admirably and has the data from entry, descent, and landing. So is go for Sol 1 activities to retrieve that data.
Copy GNC. And ACE?
Flight ACE, all of our systems worked as expected. We have disconnected from the command system, and we have all 4 stations standing by for us to release them.
Copy. So at this point, the release I'll leave to surface flight and surface ACE. Are you going to be surface ACE or?
The base stations won't be around when we're using them the next time.
Understood. They're probably done for the day, but I don't want to presume anything. I'll leave that up to surface flight to figure out.
Copy that.
Okay. And left the last here, activity lead. Is it activity lead 1 or 2?
Activity lead 2.
All right, activity lead 2.
Flight, this is activity lead 2. I can confirm that EDL was nominal, as we know. I've filled out the cacher report with all the key details about the landed lat long position, the estimated touchdown velocities. We've got a estimated rover attitude in 3 dimensions from RIMU real-time data products in there, and everything is nominal. The one piece we're still missing is the MRO loss of signal time, but I'll be adding that to the report as soon as possible. And we cannot assess the state of the EDL cameras. We didn't get an EHA update since prior to